Michael, the 2026 biographical film directed by Antoine Fuqua, written by John Logan, follows the early life of American singer Michael Jackson, covering the period from his involvement in the Jackson 5 in the 1960s to the Bad World Tour in the late 80s. Jackson is portrayed by his nephew Jafar Jackson and as a child by Giuliano Valdi, both in their film debuts. The supporting cast includes Nia Long, Kylie Dorell Jones, Laura Harrier, Jessica Sula, Mike Myers, Miles Teller, and Coleman Domingo. The film, while receiving generally negative reviews from critics who praise, however, Jafar's performance and criticize the story as sanitized, is a unabashed hit across the country and the world, as it has grossed $960 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing Lionsgate film, the second highest grossing film of 2026, and the second highest grossing biographical film, and the highest grossing music biographical film of all time. And indeed, a sequel is in development for Michael. Our final stop in 2026, Black Music Month, here on the Micheaux Mission. Vincent, we have each given our little mini reviews of the film when it first came out. But now, what do you have to add in your commentary about Michael?
And by adding a commentary, I do think this is a film that you look at it differently when you watch it by yourself. Like, I'll just sort of repeat what I said. I do think it hits in a certain way,
right,
as a group deal. But even before you get to the review, I think a project like Michael has two huge hurdles.
Okay.
Like, before the film even starts. The first one is what I call the Muhammad Ali hurdle.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is in our lifetimes, you've really had these major Black biographical projects. You have Ray, you have Malcolm X, and then I think you had something like Muhammad Ali. Ali. Where Will Smith portrayed Muhammad Ali. And what I said immediately, besides the fact that Will Smith himself is one of the most recognizable faces in the world, you get over with Denzel Washington portraying Malcolm X before you even see the film, because for many of us, we didn't really know what Malcolm X looked like.
And certainly not, if we did, not in color.
And if we did, not in color. It was some grainy footage. It was still photography, so on and so forth. Muhammad Ali was perhaps the most recognizable human being on earth.
Yeah.
And there are countless hours of footage of Muhammad Ali.
Globally.
So stepping into a role portraying someone that everyone knows what he actually looks, sounds like, etc., was a poison chalice before you even started. And arguably, Michael Jackson is even more of a well-known image than Muhammad Ali was. Whether we are talking about the off-the-wall era, because obviously the thriller era eclipses that. But Off the Wall was a juggernaut of a hit.
It was.
Certainly the thriller era, where it's iconic moment after iconic moment after iconic moment. Michael Jackson was a public figure for decades after Thriller. So that anyone stepping into the role of Michael Jackson is a Herculean task, because this is someone that we all know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
The second hurdle is one that we talk about all the time. By definition, a biography is about someone who is important enough, or rather most of these biographies. Like every now and then you'll get something about someone's like, oh, I didn't know that. And the creators are like, you should know about this person. But a lot of times, if you are famous enough to garner a film about you,
mm-hmm.
you have a legacy,
mm-hmm.
you have an estate, you have lawyers, you have people who are vested in your image.
Mm.
Then you add the music. If you're a musician, now you need to get signatures.
Yeah.
To use the music.
Right.
I don't know if we will ever get a proper Jimi Hendrix biopic.
I know.
Because of
the music,
the estate in the music. I think, you know, I just talked about John Coltrane a few minutes ago. Miles Davis, all of these huge stars, all of this gets tangled up because you have an estate.
Mm-hmm.
That justifiably so. You know, oftentimes the estate are these people's families. Like, we know these people as artists, but these are these people's families.
Mm-hmm.
They want to protect the image of this figure. So that oftentimes you get something watered down, you get something sanitized, you get something that's a little toothless.
Straight out of Compton.
With someone like Michael Jackson, this is multiplied countless times.
Amen.
Because not only do you have to get clearance from the Michael Jackson estate, there is Berry Gordy in his estate and everything in everything that he wants to protect with his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
There is Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
There is Quincy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously their legacies aren't as large, but within his family.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You're talking about Michael Jackson's estate. You got to get...
Jermaine got to sign off.
Right. The
Janet
family
got to sign off.
Yeah.
The brothers got to sign off. Like, there are a lot of signatures.
A lot of moving pieces.
That you have to get clearance of to get something on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we're just going to get to it. I'm not going to say anything controversial. Jafar Jackson is the brightest part of this film.
Absolutely.
Like, Jafar Jackson absolutely nails the depiction of his uncle, Michael Jackson, in a way that I would not have thought was possible.
Nope.
As much as we talk about Jafar's musical performances and the way he mimics and apes his uncle's moves, I think he does an excellent job in the quiet moments.
Mm-hmm.
Where Michael is with kids, Michael is sharing moments with the family's longtime bodyguard, Bill Bray,
mm-hmm.
where just his cadence, the way he looks, his smiles, his gestures, everything.
You believe you're looking at Michael Jackson.
You believe you're looking at Michael Jackson, and Jafar pulls it off brilliantly.
Yes, he does.
The other task, they fail miserably as far as this being a linear narrative telling the story of Michael Jackson. And this is for a number of reasons. Just structurally, the film starts with with the Jackson 5, and they're already a group,
mm-hmm.
and Joe is working them. There's a moment that we have to talk about in a moment that is historically inaccurate, where we talk about him being discovered, the Jackson 5 being discovered by Motown.
Yeah.
There is an amazingly awkward jump of almost a decade.
Thank you.
Between the Jackson 5 at Motown to Michael Jackson putting together plans for Off the Wall.
Right.
Where you skip over damn near half of their tenure at Motown. You skip over the family's albums that they made after they left Motown.
You basically skip over the Jacksons.
You skip over The Wiz, where he met Quincy Jones.
Thank you.
And what you find out, not to be all inside baseball, but this is relevant because it speaks to the challenges this film had, is that Diana Ross did not sign off on her likeness.
That's right.
And so much of the Michael Jackson story is entwined with Diana Ross. I mentioned them being there are three different stories that you hear about the discovery of the Jackson 5.
Right.
Strangely enough, Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong,
I know,
has always maintained that he discovered the Jackson 5. No one ever really disputes it. So, it's worth mentioning. Gladys Knight has talked about she was one of the first people to discover the Jackson 5.
I had heard that, but I don't know the story that she tells.
I think it's the story she saw him performing.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if she brought him to the attention of Motown or not. Like, again, both Tommy Chung and Gladys Knight say that we saw them first.
Right.
And then the official story that everyone has admitted is not the truth. It's just the official story because it makes for a good narrative.
And it's been immortalized in animation.
Is that Diana Ross discovered them.
Right.
So that Diana Ross is at the very beginning. There's a moment in the film where Susan DePass, who's a longtime legendary executive at Motown, they depict her discovering the Jackson 5. But when she discovers them, they're singing Never Can Say Goodbye.
Which they would not have been singing.
Because that is a song that was written for the Jackson 5 by the corporation.
Which was under Motown.
But I strongly suspect that because Diana Ross would not license her likeness, they had to do some reshoots.
Or some stitching of
some
things.
Stitching together.
Yeah.
So that this is actually after they're at Motown, but now they got to stitch it together. And this is indicative of this awkward narrative that is throughout. The second really awkward narrative, and this is one of my hills that I die on. Because you can sense the legacies at stake, because you can sense there are very much factions of power that want to protect their own images. And because it's a film, you need a conflict. Joe Jackson, as depicted by Coleman Domingo, is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Like at one point, there after the accident with the Pepsi commercial, and Michael Jackson's laid up and Joe Jackson's twirling his mustache and wanting to know when can he go back on stage. Michael Jackson actually laments to his mother that no one can stop Joe. No one can stop Joe. And I actually text Lynn and said, they talk about Joe Jackson like his ass is Gojira. Like he's actually about to destroy Tokyo. He pops up out of nowhere. And look, if you want, we can talk about Joe Jackson if you want. Like I said, I will die on a hill that Joe Jackson gets a lot of blame in stuff that I think is undeserved in ahistorical and not really contextualized that well. But for a film that talks about Michael Jackson and his journey into being Michael Jackson, the aforementioned fallout with Motown we don't discuss, either when they left Motown or when Michael Jackson negotiated to come back for Motown 25. We don't talk about Michael Jackson and his falling out with Paul McCartney.
No.
When he buys the Beatles catalog, which is during the same period.
It would have been around. Yes, it would have been definitely in there.
We don't talk. I mean, we don't get to this in the film's defense. We don't get to this point in his history. But Michael Jackson famously was in conflict with people at Sony.
Yes, he was. Yes.
We don't talk about how Off the Wall got iced out at the Grammys.
Yeah.
And you know that they do bring up MTV not playing black artists, but there are so many definitive moments in Michael Jackson's life that you can feel people didn't want to address because these are still very powerful entities. That the narrative is at best sanitized.
Right. And sanitized is being generous.
But oftentimes it is actually unwieldy and awkward.
Yes.
And jarring. Besides Jafar Jackson, no one in this film really gets a chance to act except Coleman Domingo. And Coleman Domingo, again, is portraying Michael Myers throughout the film.
He is. I will contend there is one other person that gets to perform.
Well, you get scenes. You get moments. Okay,
but there's a scene that
I actually think there's a wonderful moment, and this is why it frustrates me so much that Barry Gordy isn't in the film more.
Oh my God.
There's a wonderful moment where Lorenz Tate portrays Barry Gordy actually hearing Michael Jackson for the first time. And the acting that Lorenz Tate does silently.
Yes.
Is glorious.
Yes.
Like, you forget Lorenz Tate is an actor. No surprise. We've said it. Everyone says it. The best scene in the film is when Coleman Domingo actually meets somebody he can act against.
No.
And that would, of course, be Dion Cole as Don King, where Don King and Joe Jackson negotiate the Pepsi,
the tour,
the tour and the Pepsi commercials and all. And boy, these two actors smoking cigars, I would contend it is the best directed moment.
It is. You're absolutely right
as well. But Nia Long is wasted.
Absolutely wasted.
God bless the young actors who portray the Jackson brothers, but they might not. They might as well have not been
in the movie,
right? You know, there's a moment at the end. You know, talking about the awkward editing. There's a moment at the end where Michael announces that this is going to be his final performance with his brothers, and the camera lingers for a moment on each of the brothers, as if in any point in the film
we knew.
We had spent some time with them.
We knew who was who.
Right. Like, the film is like, okay, now we're going to say goodbye to Jermaine. Now we're going to say goodbye to Tito. And it's like, now you do understand, two of these actors have not had speaking lines.
Not at all.
So that...
And we only know Tito because of hats.
Right. Right. So that, look, I think Jafar's performance... I think the set pieces of the musical performances is enough to justify seeing this film. But it is a surprisingly tepid recommendation that I'm giving this film.
You're absolutely right, because his performance is enough to get you in the seat to watch the film, but it is not enough to make you return to the film.
Okay.
And that's the problem, because as great as his performance is, and he is absolutely amazing. Like I said, you believe that you're seeing Michael Jackson on that screen, but you believe that you're seeing Michael Jackson so much, that's why you want to see the rest of the Michael Jackson life.
Right.
That's why you want to see, and I understand that, you know, the story behind the production, as far as that they actually filmed a lot more footage into the 90s that they didn't use because of them finding out, there was stuff that they actually shouldn't have filmed.
Right, legally.
Right. So they had to be edited out, and then like they had to do like this Frankenstein number to create the film that we saw here. Right. And I understand all of that. But the point of the matter is, though, just like you said, there is enough story of Michael Jackson, the man himself, the boy into the man, who would be king of pop. There's enough story there that doesn't get into anything crazy salacious. It's all about, his life. The story of Michael Jackson and the reason that all of the Michael Jackson defenders build the shield around him when anybody dares even offers the faintest criticism of the man is because he's someone who didn't have a childhood.
Sure.
And but yet, despite all of that, he was able to become the biggest entertainer in the world. Okay, fair. Then let's see that on the screen. Because this film, I contend, as good as Jafar is, he spends most of the time in the movie just whining and complaining about how he wants to be the biggest star in the world.
Put a pin in that. Go ahead.
And that's all he does. And there's nothing wrong with wanting, hey, if that's your goal, that's fine. But I know that you didn't just whine and bitch and moan your way to get there. I know you had to overcome a lot of things to get there, and you had to make some hard decisions. Let's see them. The world, and I think history, has made Joe Jackson the big bad wolf of Michael Jackson's story, and quite has kept the villain of all of the Jacksons' life. Primarily because, yes, to a degree, history, and also immortalized in the miniseries for people of our age, Jackson's An American Dream. It's kind of like been immortalized in that. So, the shorthand of that now is that Joe just beat the hell out of these kids. So all of a sudden he is the villain of the story. Fine. And Coleman Domingo, like you said, he leans into it. That's what they're telling me to do. I'm going to lean into
exactly.
it. You can't knock the man.
Right.
He's a hell of an actor, and he's going to put it on the screen. But the opportunities to show everything else is there. You talk about Lorenz Tate. Talk about wasted casting, because he is. That scene, like when you talk about how he transformed on his face, hearing Michael Jackson is fantastic. I contend the other great scene with him is when he is with Michael Jackson at the board, and they're talking about music, and Joe comes looking into the room, and without being disrespectful for Joe at all, Barry Gordy / Lorenz Tate checks him.
Yes.
And actually, you can see the beginning of the push and pull a little bit between the two of them. That history has told us that actually was a thing.
Right.
And you would have liked to have seen at some moment Michael maybe return to that, with Barry Gordy as, someone that he can turn to, confide in. It certainly makes sense, because in the rise of the Jacksons that Barry Gordy orchestrates, he does find times in there, a lot of people will be surprised. Off the Wall was not Michael Jackson's first solo album.
Right.
He had other solo albums
Right.
with Motown. Berry Gordy had a hand in that because he saw what he had here.
Right.
So even if you just see him working on one of them,
right,
you know, you start to get the sense of the man and his actual music chops, because it's not just him complaining and whining about stuff. And you're seeing his maturation, and there's a counterbalance against Joe there.
Right.
You talk about how we don't know anything about his brothers. The man was raised in a house with 9 other kids.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, he resorts to a menagerie of animals.
Right.
And seems to lose connection with his brothers. I don't know how true that is, but we know that there was at least some connection with his brothers, because they were performing, they were touring, they were touring the world. So, and they were living in this house together. So let's see the deterioration of that. Let's see him with his brothers, because the movie has a scene where he comes home like, "Hey guys, do y'all want to play a game, play Twister?" And they say, "Nah, we all going out." Bruh, this is the first time they're grown men at this point.
Right.
This is the first time we ever seen you even recognize that your brothers are in the room.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense that they don't want to roll with you. We don't care about them. The movie doesn't make us care about them. And you, Michael, in this movie has not given us any sense that you even care about them.
Right.
Because all you've been whining about is how I want to be the greatest performer. Not how, at no point when you are with the Jacksons, because it skips over the Jacksons. So it doesn't talk about how you maybe wanted to bring the Jacksons high enough, make them reach their heights. You know, you don't see where maybe at some point you outgrow the Jacksons.
Right.
Which I think is definitely plays out along the lines when he's doing the solo albums, but to your point, really starts to crystallize in his mind when he does The Wiz and he meets Quincy Jones, and they actually realize, like, this is such an unworldly talent, we've got to write a song for you,
right,
for the movie. So that is a transformative moment in his life at that time. There is enough story right there. If you just pick at the stories, you talked about the possibilities of Gladys Knight. Stephanie Mills has talked about having like a relationship with Michael Jackson around this time.
Yes.
Would have been interesting to see even just a hint of that, because for all we know, Michael Jackson spends all his time with his bodyguard, with Bubbles, who was brought into his life, talking about inaccurate, he brought into his life almost 10 years too soon, and otherwise he's just bouncing around at kids' hospitals.
Look, I think there's this mythology of Michael Jackson that the family and the estate is really invested in, like this image of Michael Jackson as this childlike, angelic figure. And again, let me be, I'm going to keep saying this. We know Michael Jackson, the icon. We know Michael Jackson, the singer. Michael Jackson is in a family. So I do not fault a family trying to protect their son, their brother, their father. Having said that, I do think when you just depict this childlike wonder, it does come off as whiny.
Exactly.
If you remember, we talked about this extensively when we reviewed This Is It, and we talked about where This Is It had to go through all these filters, because the family was reticent to release This Is It. But the most fascinating part about This Is It is that you see this work ethic. You see this vision. You see, frankly, this taskmaster.
Right. And you see some chafing under it.
Because, to your point, You don't become Michael Jackson by playing Twister and playing with a damn monkey.
Exactly.
This man has more in common with James Brown and Prince. And people who, when you know, I just, you know, I haven't quite finished it, but you know, I'm watching the Earth, Wind and Fire documentary.
Oh yeah, I want to start that.
Maurice White, where these men who are visionaries and geniuses aren't necessarily nice guys, because you don't get this level of success by, again, eating ice cream and watching movies with your mama all the time.
That's right.
But the other part that you see, and you see this with other projects, like the Jackson brothers had a short-lived reality series.
Yeah.
A lot of this is because that is how Joe taught them. So you have to give credit to Joe. Look, this is my Joe Jackson thing. I do not think Joe Jackson is above reproach at all.
Okay.
I do think you have to contextualize Joe Jackson. And I look at him 4 different ways.
Okay.
3 ways, this is not a debate. This is, the sky is blue and grass is green. 1 way, I'm open to argue about.
Okay. This is 3.
Jackie was born in 1951.
That's the oldest.
His oldest son. Except for Randy and maybe Janet. All of these kids were born in the 1950s.
Yes.
Joe is a 1950s dad.
Okay.
1950s dads spanked.
Yes, they did.
Full stop.
Yep.
Across socioeconomic, racial, whatever lines. If you were a dad in the 50s, you spanked.
Yes.
So Joe spanks. Joe's a 50s dad. You start there. Joe was poor. You know why being poor is important? Because anyone who has ever raised a child, you have to model good behavior. You have to put ethics and morals. All of that is 100% true. But a whole lot of raising a kid is carrots and sticks. Positive reinforcement for you to do what you're supposed to do. Repercussions when you do something you're not supposed to do. Carrots and sticks. The more resources you have, the more carrots you have.
Yes.
Oh, I want to go to Tyler the Creator's store in Brooklyn. Okay, well, what's that college report card looking like? And we're going to go and we're going to drive up to Brooklyn. Nothing in here costs less than $100. Okay, you got good grades. Let's drive to, not Brooklyn. Let's drive to the Village. Go to the golf store. Oh, I want a Switch. You got a Switch. I want the new Switch. Oh, you want the new Switch? Well, your birthday is coming up. Make sure your grades are right. This, that, and the other. Carrots. The flip side is the stick. All that shit you got, we can take it away.
That's right.
People get froggy right now. I get on this phone and you can no longer use Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, Apple TV. I will say you are no longer an approved user of these programs.
That's right.
I shut everything down from this chair and changed the Wi-Fi password. Carrots and sticks. Joe is poor. Joe don't have no whole lot of carrots.
Yeah, a lot of sticks.
He actually don't have a lot of sticks. He got 1 stick.
Well, that's true.
So now he's poor. Joe is black.
Yes.
Black parentage, a lot of it, frankly, you just scared all the time. Because this world destroys black children. Joe got all these kids. I can't imagine Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine bringing up the rear. So by the time you get to Michael, look, I'm just scared all the time. 1950s, poor, black.
Okay.
Now, the one I'll go, this is the one that I'm open to debate.
Open to debate.
I think stage parents are terrible parents. Just generally.
Okay.
I think, and again, that's my opinion. I'm not talking about you support your kid. My kid wants to swim. I take him to practice. I mean, I need you to buy your mama a house. Those kids.
Those
right.
Parents.
So you get your kid up at 4 a.m. to shoot jump shots or go to an audition or you keep them up till 2 a.m. to do all this. I think those are bad parents.
So your Joe Jacksons, your King Richards.
Joe Jackson, Matthew Knowles, all of them. I think stage parents are terrible parents.
Okay.
I think parents are supposed to take care of kids. I don't think kids are supposed to take care of parents.
Okay.
Now, that's my opinion. Now, that I'm open to debate. And we just named people who had stage parents and they've done well.
Right.
But for every success story,
there's the horror.
Right. For every LeBron James, every Beyonce, every Michael Jackson, the field is littered with bodies.
Yeah.
Of stage parents.
Yeah.
So Joe was a stage parent.
Okay.
And I think that made him a terrible parent.
Okay.
But again, I think all stage parents are terrible parents. But this notion that Joe Jackson was somehow outside of the norm, I just think is ridiculous. I think this is this narrative that took off in the 80s. And frankly, as someone who is a little bit of a Michael Jacksonologist, when you look at the interviews where Michael and LaToya, who were the main ones pushing this, even the interviews, the people interviewing them are kind of moving them around, trying to get them to say this stuff about Joe Jackson because it is around the same time as Ike Turner. So, it was a nice little parallel with Ike Turner.
Yeah.
So, again, I think you box off this potential area of complexity when you just paint Joe as the villain.
Fair.
There are so many parts of the narrative, for whatever reason, we don't get to dramatize. There is absolutely no way you can't talk about Michael Jackson's time in New York.
I know.
If you were talking about his development as an artist, where I think he was in New York for 2 years, lived in that apartment with LaToya.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And this is just history where Michael Jackson talks about going to Studio 54, getting that nightlife. We just talked about he meets Quincy Jones as an adult during this time. But I think there are lots of moments like that throughout this film. I mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. Thriller is a direct result of Off the Wall getting iced out by the racist Grammy committee.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot talk about Thriller without talking about that. Honestly.
And that's an interesting story. And I think having that dramatized.
Yes.
I think that's such an important story to dramatize, especially because there is a moment where Michael Jackson, the mythology of Michael Jackson, leaves the bosom of Black America and becomes the world. And I think to the point that story what you're talking about Off the Wall, most people don't know.
No.
And I'm talking about, Black people don't know. There are tons of Black people who didn't know that, and I know more than a few of them that didn't know that Michael Jackson was living in that house with his brothers and his whole family.
Right.
So I think having that story dramatized starts to take this movie out of the sky and grounds it more in a place where we can hold him dear and make him become, bring him back to us.
Right.
In a way. And I think that is a moment that this movie, shamefully skirts by. You were talking about his time in New York with LaToya. I think that I know of it, but I don't really know the stories. No one knows the stories. And maybe these are stories that, or maybe we don't want to know these stories, but I think that is something that is definitely worth exploring, because it's all goes into the creation of this man.
Yes.
And you need to know the man because that is from where the myth comes. And this movie just totally misses all of that. The other thing about this movie, and I will say, and I mentioned this in my mini review, is that the musical performances are great in this movie. But the shame of it is, to me, is that a lot of them are basically just total recreations of the exact same videos, either music videos or special appearances that you can see on YouTube. Yeah. And I mean exact recreations from the camera movements to everything else, to the point where I don't think Antoine Fuqua, I don't see him as like one of these more director auteurs that we have talked about. But I think that he definitely has a vibe that no doubt that you can see in all of his films. Doubt. And none of that is existent in this film, and I think that is a shame,
dude. So much of this, and this has sort of been an ambient conversation around the Marvel output. You can see all the tendrils of committee on this film.
Yep.
And on the one hand, I think it was a bit of a flex that Jafar is so good. They're like, let's recreate something that, quite honestly, you didn't think we could recreate. But I do think, again, it's so sanitized. It's so controlled. You and I talked, and I maintain, one of the movies that I wanted to see was the movie about the tour. But then I realized today the other movie I wanted to see is a movie about the making of the Beat It video.
Okay.
Like that whole sequence where he's in there with the gang members. And it humanizes. But it's like his most human. Like he's either whiny, he's this weird childlike angelic figure with animals and sick kids, or you get the mimicry. But there's actual conversation with these men. And you feel the energy of these are men who don't like each other, but they're so in awe of Michael Jackson. Like, there's so much texture in there. But I do think the image of Michael, you're talking about holding him near. I do think there is a moment in the mythology of Michael Jackson after Thriller, where there are a lot of forces that want to deracialize him.
Yes, you're right.
And make him, quote unquote, bigger than race.
Yes.
And this very racialized historical moment, because again, I don't know how much Michael Jackson was doing this. Where
you don't think he wasn't?
I think he grappled with it.
Okay.
I think he grappled. I think for as much as I don't see race, this, that, and the other. Like a man who surrounds himself with black security, a man who makes the Remember the Time video, a man who makes They Don't Care About Us in the prison. Like, I think Michael Jackson had a much more complicated relationship with his blackness than a lot of us give him credit for. And I think this moment, the making of the Beat It video, I would have loved to have seen that unpacked.
I think I would have. I think I hear what you're saying, because I would be interested in more of his true mindset there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get a hints of it in this movie, but I would have liked a little bit more of his mindset there. The grappling that you say that he does, and maybe it's just the cynic in me. I question that, because as much as I liked Remember the Time, the video, and I think some of the album, I also saw that in the wake of his breakup with Quincy Jones, him trying to find the flavor of the month.
Sure.
And hip hop break beats were the flavor of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So he got with Teddy Riley, you know, and he was looking for those producers. And so that's,
I'm talking specifically the imagery.
Yeah, you see, but
like, he didn't have to make the video look like that. Like, he could have done.
Yeah,
well, it's Michael Jackson. He do anything he wants.
He didn't have to.
Like,
but
he could have been in space.
But I think, all right. What
could have been Captain EO.
Oh, he still returned to space.
Yeah.
And took the kids into the cave. But then he does that. He does that video. I don't know. I grapple. Hey, that's a story for the sequel.
That is my point. That is my point exactly. I think because of look, it's the elephant in the room that we haven't actually said out loud. I think because of what happened with the child abuse allegations, the estate, his family, the people who make money off of Michael Jackson are very protective and very intentional with the image of Michael Jackson. And because of that, they don't leave any space for nuance at all. Angelic man-child didn't have a childhood. Peter Pan, the monkey. Nothing to see here.
See, but this is the shame of it is this is where they leave themselves open for things like the Michael Jackson Verdict documentary that is on Netflix. Now, mind you, that does get all into the court cases, which is stuff that they technically can't,
right,
because of the settlements and stuff like that. But if the movie depicts more of Michael the man, right, the boy the man, then when those other projects come bubbling up, as they are, right, like Michael Jackson the Verdict, and I'm sure there's many others being. I think there's actually one on YouTube, another documentary.
I mean, I'm sure it is.
When those things come up, people would be will more prone to say, "Oh, but I've already seen enough of the real deal."
Right.
And I know that they're going to do a sequel, and I trust that it's going to do more.
I know you all are hiding something, because all we get is this Disney-fied version. You mentioned Stephanie Mills. Where's Tatum O'Neal? Where's Brooke Shields? Where's again? There's it is this sort of, he's sort of asexual.
Well, yeah.
He's sort of, and again, it's like filmed by committee. It's like filmed by, and it is, and we talked about this a bit. I do think you and I, because we literally grew up with Michael Jackson, know all this different stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I really am just trying to make critiques based on this film.
Yeah.
And the spaces in the film. And, the film does this thing where they show him at least twice, talking very softly, talking in what very much seems like a romantic voice. And then it cuts to him talking to an animal. And it's played as a little joke, But that shit is weird.
It is weird.
Like,
very weird.
Like the brothers get no run at all. But my favorite brother in the entire film, my favorite brother moment, and in the entire film, Michael Jackson comes home because he's again this angelic, asexual man child. Hey brothers, I've brought Twister. Do you want to play Twister? And they say Marlon got a date. He gonna play his own Twister. But they're brothers. That's how brothers talk.
How they talk to each other.
That's how they, you know. And I know we talk about this forever, but like something that I've always wondered, like they kind of mentioned Joe, called him Big Nose, and that's part of the Michael Jackson mythology. Like he changed his nose because Joe tortured him about his big nose. Marlon's nose is twice as big as Michael's.
I know.
I've never heard Marlon talk about the psychological abuse that was put on him by his older brothers and Joe, because Marlon's joint took up half his face. Marlon seemed to, obviously he didn't have the pressure on him that Michael had, but
Marlon was fine.
Like, let's not act like Marlon wasn't a kid. Let's not act like Marlon didn't have a big nose. From what I understand, Marlon got a date, and he about to play his own game of Twister. I said, well, shit, let's go with Marlon. Let's see
the Marlon story.
Right, let's see what's going on with Marlon. And then the other brother said, yeah, we going out tonight. I was like, oh, yeah, because, Jackie was probably going to go on a date with Paula Abdul or one of them. Like,
oh, is that who he dated?
Like, oh, okay. We do have to wrap this up. That's part of the Victory Tour thing.
No, I don't.
He definitely cheated on his wife.
Well, okay.
And she hit him with a car.
Oh,
and Jackie's leg is broken. The first leg of the tour.
Oh, really?
Pardon the pun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jackie. Yeah. And I believe it was with Paula Abdul. Oh. I don't know if that's the matched up story, because at one point he was seeing Paula Abdul. And I think he was married when he was seeing Paula Abdul. But his wife definitely hit him with a car.
And broke his leg? But he's still on the tour?
I mean...
He out there with a... Well,
look.
Yeah, he ain't doing nothing.
Look. He not doing that.
No, he ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's sitting on a stool.
Right. Jermaine has gotten divorced from Hazel. So what's going on with... Like, it's a lot of motion with the Jackson brothers. During the 80s. While Michael's over there playing with a damn monkey. But that's a different movie. The real question, however.
Yes. Would you recommend that people watch?
I would.
Michael?
Look, you got to watch it. I do think that this is a film much like Ray. I'm trying to think of I think Bohemian Rhapsody at this point is in this sort of rarefied air.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's up there, but it's certainly in mine. Johnny Cash.
Oh, Walk the Line.
Yeah, Walk the Line. Coal Miner's Daughter. Coal Miner's Daughter more so than
Coal Miner's Daughter. Yeah.
Like, I think there are some cultural artifacts that are iconic, and I think this is going to be one of them. So you got to watch it. To your point, even today, watching it again, I was getting a little distracted. I don't know how much you have to return to it.
Yeah.
But you got to watch it once.
Well, it's made $960 million worldwide.
Yeah.
So chances are you have seen it.
Okay.
I contend that you don't need to see it again.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, see it.
Yeah.
And once you see it, it will make you nostalgic for the videos. Mm-hmm. And then you go watch the videos.
Yeah.
Go watch the Michael Jackson videos.
Jafar's good.
He is good.
Jafar's good.
I'm curious.
He's electric at the end. Like, that bad performance at the end actually pulled me. That is the only part of this film besides Don King and
Deon Cole.
Yeah, Don King, Deon Cole, and Joe Jackson.
Coleman Domingo.
Coleman Domingo. That is the only part of the film that it snapped me right back in.
Yeah, it is a lot though, because the end of the film is 2 back-to-back music videos.
Yeah.
So it's like,
are
we seriously going to see the whole performance?
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. He is good. He's very good. But I'm curious if he does continue as an actor, what his follow-up is outside of the sequel. If that happens,
I know.
I have to imagine he's going to do that. And shout out to Giuliano Valdi, who plays a younger Michael Jackson. I think he does a good job as well.
He does.
But yeah, so see it at least once.
Yeah,
that's my contention.
All right.
Here from the Micheaux Mission. I'm going to check something real quick here, if you will beg your indulgence, missionaries. As I look, we are okay. Well, that's what I thought. We don't know what we're going to be reviewing next week. We've had a couple of guests that we've got lined up, but so I kept next week open. And they have gone and chosen their dates, and they did not choose next week. So we don't have a film chosen for next week.
What are we doing in July? What's July?
We're doing movies.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you
who our guests are in July.
Okay. Do you have their movies?
I do. I do. In fact. On
let's do real-time programming. Let's do real-time programming. Let's do real-time programming because we're so professional.
Yes, that's exactly what we are. Hold on one second. I will tell you where. Oh, I gotta go to the emails. All right. We have we have on July 8th, we are going to be speaking with Regine Sawyer.
Okay.
Of Wink, Women in Comics.
Very nice.
And we are going to be reviewing we had selected the movie. We are going to be reviewing They Will Kill Us.
Very nice. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
I just watched. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
So we're going to be reviewing that with Regina Sawyer, and I could have sworn that I saw her choose her date. Okay. All right. Oh, she didn't lock down her date yet. Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's floating.
No. Regina is definitely happening on July 8th, Wednesday, July 8th. But later in the month, we're going to be reviewing Black Box.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
With noted comic book artist and a favorite of yours, Afua Richardson.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. So we've got that coming up in July.
Okay.
So we'll figure out what we're reviewing next week.
No. You want to pick or you want me to pick? Why don't you pick? You want to pick?
I don't have a selection. No. I'm going to select it.
All right, go ahead.
This is the film that I wanted to select, but I didn't select, so I'm selecting it now. We are going to review Disorderlies.
Okay.
The Fat Boys.
Yes, Lynn, I'm familiar with.
Well, they may not know.
Right.
There you go.
Is that streaming somewhere?
I don't know.
Why don't you look that up?
Well, I don't want to have time to look it up right now.
You absolutely have time.
I don't. I have to go to the bathroom. We're doing this live. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta shut this thing down.
That's why Joe Jackson would whip us. Just Disorderlies.
We're doing Disorderlies next week. Here on
it's screen.
It's streaming? There you go.
Oh my God, Michael Schultz directed that?
Yes, and we're reviewing it next week here on the Micheaux Mission.
All right.
And you can find us every place you find podcasts. You can find us on Patreon, find us on YouTube, all that jazz. The Believe Podcast Network.
You over there chasing waterfalls?
Yes. Fuck you. Vincent, I'm Len. In parting, we say, fuck you.